or spinach?
Spinach.
All right. We're live, by the way. So that's an awkward way to start a conversation. Hey,
Spinach.
we have special guests today, and that's going to be an interesting one. I primarily wanted to do something on my end, like I do weekly, and work on that potato image for a while. But hey, we have a better occasion here. We have three amazing guests. We have Dade and Ron, who are from Pixel Squid, and I'll let you guys introduce in a second. And we also have Jama which screen is actually right now being shared to everyone in the world watching this live. So, hey guys, how you been? How is everyone doing on
Pretty
this
good.
beautiful
Pretty
day?
good. We're doing great. Doing
Yeah,
wonderful.
it's all good. It's all great. Life is
So
beautiful.
we're in New Orleans. Jama, you're in London.
Oh yeah, I'm still in London. The weather is, by the way, getting more and more miserable with every day. So I'm just enjoying last days of this summer, I suppose.
Well, New
Yeah,
Orleans
it's
is
gonna
still very hot.
it's gonna be over soon. Which
Yeah,
is
I
sad,
mean,
but-
here in California, weather can suck sometimes, when you cannot wear your shorts and flip flops. That's kind of boring, and it's just like,
come on, you should come over to UK then.
No, dude, I grew up in Poland. I had my fair share of shitty weather.
We all-
But anyway, so before we jump into talking about details and enjoying beautiful art, let's talk about Pixel Squid, what it is, and let's hear from you guys. What do you think it is, and why you guys are so excited about it? We are excited about it. Me, Ash, and Jama, and everyone, and we'll exactly show you why, because that's the one thing that we've discovered recently, and we started to have those conversations with you guys, and I'm genuinely stoked to to talk about it. I've mentioned this on my stream with Ash yesterday. We've shown a little bit of how it works, just like slight, like a peek on a screen. But this is exciting. I'm curious. I'm curious to hear what you guys can say about this before we jump into some examples and really do some cool work here.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, we'd love to. The thing about Pixel Squid is Pixel Squid was started by Turbo Squid, and if you're not familiar with Turbo Squid, it's a marketplace for 3D models. If you are familiar with Turbo Squid, then you've probably used it a good bit. But it's 3D models, and you have to be a 3D artist or someone who knows how to manipulate 3D models in order to actually use them. And we realize that there's a huge community out there of artists that just really want to be able to utilize 3D, but it's hard. It's hard to learn 3D. It's expensive. You need a fast machine. You need expensive software, and even if you have the time to dedicate to that, you're still going to take years to become a master at it. So, and that may only be one facet of 3D, right? You might be a great modeler and a terrible lighter, or a great lighter and a terrible animator. So there's these facets that you're going to actually be good at, and it's hard to become good at all of them. And so we wanted artists to be able to utilize 3D, but without having to actually learn 3D, and that's where Pixel Squid came from. So Pixel Squid is sort of it's a library. It's a massive library of 3D models that in a way are pre-rendered, but you can choose your angles. You can download PSDs and get multiple layers. You can really manipulate those 3D models, but without ever leaving the comfort of, say, Photoshop. It's a pretty amazing tool, and I think that's it's why we're so excited about it, and I think everyone that we share it with gets just as excited about it as well.
Yeah, I have it open right now on the screen. There's this section called Rubble, and I'm looking through it. It's pretty cool. I'll just maybe show how it works. So basically, let's say there's this rubble right here. Let me click it. Let me add it to Photoshop. Oh, get the plugin. I already have the plugin.
You get the plugin.
Yeah. So how do I do that, Dade? Honestly, I have it here in my Photoshop. I already logged in. Oh, there we go.
So
I
it
just
should
have to
be,
click.
if you're logged in, if you
Yeah.
roll over, you'll see that it says add to Photoshop.
Yeah,
And then
I have it
see
on the
there.
screen right now. So this is what it is, guys. This is like pretty much a 3D render And I know you guys have some ideas on how to progress and how to go with it
Oh yeah.
in the future. But basically, what it is let's say, as you said, like you don't want to invest time into 3D. You don't want to invest time, or maybe you don't have time. You're basically working for a studio, or maybe you're learning painting, and that's the primary thing you want to do. And maybe maybe you want to learn 3D one way or another, but you don't have enough time to spend to make it like meaningful and usable for a project that, let's say, you're currently working on. But you would love to have some of that 3D love in the project that you're working on. And this is a perfect solution for me. It's just like amazing. There's this plugin right here. You guys can see it on the screen. There's a little preview window that basically shows you the angle, and you can change the angle of that image. Is going to update it on the screen here. So basically, I have this rubble here that I just pulled up from the site. I'm changing the angle of it. I can remove the shadows, because normally those objects are rendered. I think they are rendered in V-Ray, right? Is that correct?
They are. It's 3D Studio Max V-Ray.
Right. So they're like V-Ray renders. Most of them have a very diffused lighting, which is great because it actually works best for the most scenarios. And then you can just change the camera angle and make it work the way you like it. It's almost like replacing the idea of having, um, photography with 3D, especially with the high quality stuff like this. Because I'm looking at this rubble render. It looks freaking amazing. It looks really good. I mean, not every asset is going to be as amazing as this one. Obviously, it depends on the artists that create the assets, but you have a flexibility to pick and choose which ones work for you, which is great. So right now I have this layer in Photoshop. I can scale it and do all the things, because it's basically what is it called? A smart object, right?
Hold up. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, there we go. So I scaled it, changed the position, and and that's it. I have my render here. Now I can add another item, and like I can add the same rubble again from different angle. That's fucking amazing, dude. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Obviously, in this painting, it's kind of gonna be hard to use because there's not much of a. This is like too much of a destruction to have to make this amount of stuff laying around legit. But amazing stuff is that on the photo, you are going to have one angle and one angle only. And if you already have a 3D assets to go with, that means you're spending time rendering, which is great. I mean, on one end, you're controlling lighting, you're controlling camera in the way that you always want to do. Here, it's obviously limitations where it's more of like a certain amount of renders that are available for you, right?
That's correct. It's like 225 angles.
Right.
Is what it comes out to.
Yeah, you can make like a top view. This is amazing, dude. I wish this was out when I was working on The Last of Us. Oh my god. Oh my god, it would make it so much more simple. But that's not only just the destruction stuff. There's so much more here. But yeah, it's
Yeah. So,
amazing.
and it's for us, there's a couple things. So the lighting itself is diffused, and that's on purpose. We carefully created it that way so that it would at least be the most versatile lighting.
Right. Yeah.
Like you would want to shoot on an overcast day if you were shooting elements. And so it gives you that flexibility, which the other side of that too is, the library itself. So it is pretty carefully curated. We try to make sure that as many of the assets are just the top, the best quality 3D that you can find. And in actuality, a lot of the objects are available on TurboSquid as well, which is interesting. So you could, if you went into production with something, you could get the 3D model for a lot of these things and then actually go into production.
That's really cool. Yeah, I mean, let's say you're building your concept with those images in mind, and you're using Pixel Squid assets, and then you get a call from production and that say, hey, like, we like this element that you added there. Do you happen to have a 3D model that you use there? And then you go on and you go on Turbo Squid. Yeah, it's here. You guys can purchase for the company. So it's great because it's just kind of like it alleviates quite a lot of entry barriers that you might have if you want to go into 3D, for instance, right? Not
Absolutely.
only the hardware, which can be really expensive, especially if you want to do really realistic top level renderings, but also time investment into getting to know how to model and how to use 3D programs. Even if you decide not to learn modeling and just solely rely on other people's work and the assets that you might get from Turbo Squid and whatnot. Um, Even with that, just the amount of money you have to spend just to get the scene set up, and then time you have to spend on the rendering, and that's assuming you're gonna pull up the lighting that works well, and you already know something about lighting, and you can make it the best out of it. That's already the amount of work, the amount of investments that you would have to have in order to have a usable asset for actual production, where you're whether it's a concept art or something else, or illustration, or maybe a book cover. That's a lot of barrier for the entry, right? Especially
Oh
if you
yeah.
want to go that route. Otherwise, you have to rely on photography, textures, or just purely painting, which is great, but it has its own set of advantages and disadvantages too. So
Oh, for sure.
yeah, that's
No, that's specifically what we had in mind as we went forward with Pixel Squid. We wanted to solve that problem. We wanted to offer that to the 2D designers out there.
And Maciej, I was like a perfect example. I was, I'm mostly a 2D designer, so for me, Pixel Squid was, that gateway drug, if you will, to 3D.
yeah. I mean, I personally still, would argue for everyone who's out there, learn 3D, because that's the future.
Yeah.
But when you have this, like, even now when I'm looking at it, I have like a very very balanced level of bullshit threshold. If I would put it in the right way, where it's just like I can realize where something is just a gimmick, and yeah, like, it looks great in the screenshots on the site, but when I want to use it, it's like, oh, I have to learn it and spend like hundreds of hours to actually make it happen. And oh, it's only looking that great because it's applying also 10 other plugins that I need to purchase. And oh, it was actually built by VFX House, and that's why this terrain looks so amazing. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to do it. And oh, they had the best artists out there to actually do it for just presentation. And that's where you just like, well, fuck that. I don't want to be part of that at all.
That's so
kind of falls apart.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas,
it's funny too.
Go ahead.
I was going to say a couple of streams ago, I remember Jama was talking about clouds. I think he was using, I don't remember if it was World Builder or which application it was.
It was Terragen.
Terragen.
Yeah.
And how, you see these gorgeous clouds on their website, and that's great and everything. But when you really dive into learning the software, you have to learn to master it. And that's where we kind of break that, where it's literally, you can literally open this plugin and just start working. Just start creating, and there's no gimmickry.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, I can actually jump in and clarify a little bit that story about Terragen and the clouds. Actually, Terragen clouds, they look amazing.
Oh yeah, they do.
We have this amazing guy at work who does all this stuff, and just today he showed me some stuff, and I was like, man, how did you do that? And he started showing me and then in preview render, it's nothing like what he showed me in the final render. And I asked him how do you know that it's gonna look great? And he said, oh man, I just have shitload of experience. You know what I mean? It's just exactly what Maciej was talking about. I can reckon that to learn that software, I need to work my ass off to get to this certain point. It's amazing programs.
The problem is you have to have the time on your hand, and you have to pick your battles, right?
Yeah, and there's one really good thing that Maciej mentioned, that I am not I'm not working in a VFX production, right? I'm doing concept artwork. I can't spend 5 weeks just doing R&D how to create amazing clouds. So I
Right.
think that's like for both of us, Maciej and many people out there, speed is really important. Like in concept art, the
Oh
turnaround
hell
is
yeah,
so
for
quick.
sure.
Like they really want you to bash out those images and they don't care how you do that. And like on my side, like with 3D, I have like a love and hate relationship because I love it, it's great, but then I hate it because I need to wait for something, you know?
Oh
And
yeah.
especially like most of the 3D I'm doing, I'm kind of approaching it in 2D way. I'm just bashing things out. I don't worry about if it's not fully photoreal. I can fix it later on in painting. So when I saw like when actually Ron approached me and gave me access to this to Pixel Squid, I was like, man, I was looking for this for ages because I don't want to wait for rendering. You know, I just want to get basic shapes, put them and frame them, make a composition, then paint over, job done. You know, like it's a really good and useful plugin. As much and as Maciej said, like it's something that you can see that you can use on everyday basis in your concept artwork. You know, it doesn't need to require like 10 more additional plugins or 5 years of experience, which is great. It's truly
Oh,
great.
Yeah.
it makes us really happy to hear you say that, John, because it is what we're striving for.
Yeah. Well, no, it's cool. Like I can show you some stuff I did. I don't know if you guys seeing my screen.
No, they don't. I'll make it shareable in a second. Give me a second.
Yep. Please.
Playing with dinosaurs.
There was one question from the viewers. I'm not sure if it was answered yet. I had some issues with my internet, but it says, can one build his own library of assets and later include them? I came in a little late if it has already been answered. So
I think so. Like, I mean, whenever you add something, like I will talk from my experience. I'm not sure how it works exactly on the developer's end, but whenever you add some assets to Photoshop, they being like stored in a small library,
Yeah.
and you can pick them up whenever you want. So you don't need always to go to website. You kind of communicate through the plugin. I can show you in a bit.
Yeah, it doesn't. We're actually upping the ante on that. We're going to offer multiple light boxes, so you could set up multiple projects and then
Yeah.
load Pixel Squid objects into those projects, and they would only show up, how you want them to show up. So that way you don't get lost in a
Right.
hundred
Yeah.
different options.
Jama, your screen
Great.
is on, so you can start doing the law of.
So, yeah, that's what I love. So basically, I'm gonna show you like free images that I created. I love like Second World War stuff, like Japanese, American, like war. That stuff is amazing. And so I did, and on purpose did these examples because I did a similar project using only 3D, like maybe a year ago, and I was just wanted to compare how faster and how more efficient I can do similar kind of images. And man, like just using 3D, it would take me a day per picture. And here, what you can see, every picture is done like in amazing because I don't need to render, like all the ships, like for example, you have this Yamato ship, it's already there. And like Maciej said, it's like resolution is insane. You can select an angle, just you don't press render or anything like that. You just flatten the image and just start painting it over and stuff like that.
Show me.
It's
show
really,
me
really
how it's done.
It's really cool. Yeah,
So
let me actually show you really quickly how it was done, like some of these images. Like for example, well, obviously I'm using it, like Maciej said, I'm trying to use it on what I'm interested in and how I would approach on every day. So some of the stuff that I will be showing you is probably not the part of this of the Pixel Squid plugin, but it's also really interesting. Like recently, I'm really very into like 360 concept art and stuff like that. So I have like a set of 360 skies and rendered sea sites and stuff like that, so I can navigate inside them in Photoshop. So the reason why I'm doing that, because I want to be able to control not only the Pixel Squid stuff, but also my environment as well. And you will see it in a minute how beautifully it works together. For example, let's say if I go to Pixel Squid plugin, right?
Yeah, you already have
where
it
was
on near your layers tab.
Okay, so this is my library. So basically, these are the assets that I downloaded before, and I think my Yamato is over here. So once you click on it, it will come over like this, right?
Yep.
So now it's up. Having like in mind the story I have or whatever I need to do, I will start rearranging this one. Like let's make it like a flat-on version, right? So and boom, this is being added to my composition. So like I can resize it, put it in the necessary place, right?
Yep.
So, and then whenever I want to go to higher resolution, I just press this one and it will automatically update my recent model. So give it a couple of seconds. So usually I tend to flatten everything because I really don't want to mess with a lot of layers. So now I have one layer and I have my sky. So what I basically do, because it's a quite easy example, it's just backlit environment. So I will just really drop this one. But now I need the water, right? I will show you how to do water later, but what's good about it that I'm still controlling my sky. I can move my sky around, you see?
Yeah.
It's really cool that I can find a really interesting compositions doing that. And then once I'm happy, let's say that's the angle, right? I would go and just do this. You can use photos or whatever you want, but
there's
I
not
have
as much
this-
of control you're gonna have from a photo, because photo already has an information. And granted, from the photo, if you want to have a ship that's gonna have all the details from the photo, man, how much time you're gonna have to spend to key it out from the photo itself
to
remove
key it out,
the background.
exactly.
Yeah, all
That
the
alone is
the rigging would be really, really tough to get out of there.
yeah.
That's gonna be pain in the ass. Yeah, I'm gonna do a side promotion here. I've got this really cool plugin that makes it's actually really cool. It makes water reflections. It's really
Yeah,
easy.
dude.
I'm just gonna bash out one water
Papa wants to
reflection
know.
over here.
Papa wants to learn.
No, it's called flood. You can control amount of waves and stuff. It's really for basic stuff, for basic dropping basic reflections is really cool.
Yeah, people were
just-
talking that your audio is cutting out, and that's normal. I mean, we have Jama on Skype, and he's calling from Mars or some other alien planet. So bear in mind there's a little bit of that space interference from the godly alien that Jama is. So, or I don't know, maybe you're calling from Oz. So
Yeah,
Jama of
exactly.
Oz.
Sorry, guys. Sorry. Whenever I do presentations, some crap is always going to happen, so that's fine. Yeah. So you see, I added the reflection from the sky. It looks much better. But now, once I add the reflection of the ship itself, it's gonna basically look like a finished product. All I need to do is just apply black and white. Well, it's a bit slow because I'm working at 8K at the moment. So that's another beauty of Pixel Squid. You see, it
5-minute
8K
concept
each
art.
minute.
There you go.
Boom.
And I'm not even
So
I'm not even joking.
No, it's really great. I can show you where, give me a couple of minutes, and I will actually show you how it can work in a real environment when you work on something. Let's say we're doing a period movie, right? So, and I did this, basically my client really, they don't care how I do this. I can't. That's the kind of tricky part with 3D, isn't it? You might spend half a day just preparing your stuff, and let's say your art director comes in and says, "Hey, buddy, we have a presentation in half an hour," and you just have grayscale models, right? I know with experience you kind of tackle that time a little bit better, but occasionally this kind of stuff pops up, right? You do something and just in the middle of something, people come by and say, "Oh man, we need to show something," and then you will "Oh my god, I wish I painted it instead of doing 3D." So let's say I did this base, which is wasn't my brief. My brief was to show how American airplanes attack this Japanese battleship, right? So now I go to my library again, and I have this American bomber. Boom, right? So what I can do I can do this, right? It's gonna update it for me, maybe lower. Yeah, that's a good angle. Okay, and then basically I will copy it over, and I've got American. So I could put the bomber over here, delete this stuff, right?
Yep.
I quickly paint the. Also, I really agree with Maciej that it's all about balancing. Once you need to kind of painting skill is actually very important because there's so many things that you can quick spending ages on trying to get the perfect 3D. So let's do this, right? obviously. And I also like the fact that all of the models, they are rendered in very overcast kind of manner, so there are no harsh shadows and stuff like that, so you can quickly really quickly modify stuff. And then, for example, let's say I want to see, like, the story-wise, this story should be telling that there is a torpedo coming like this, so we know this guy dropped the torpedo, right? So basically what I will do, I will go over here. I have this trail that I just painted for another painting. I just need to find it. Oh, hold on. Okay, here we go. Here we have got some nice trail. I will go over here, put the trail. Just do this.
Torpedoes.
Perspective. And boom, down. It's just, you see, it's very fast, guys. Like, it's really fast, and the amount of stuff you can bash out so quickly. And what I like about it, it's not like people sometimes misunderstand the concept of speed. It's not about speed, it's not about how quickly you do it. It's about how controlled and efficient you do it. So
Yeah.
And having this, like Maciej said, like I can rotate my sky, I can rotate my ship. There's so many inputs that I can quickly change, because my kind of job is not creating beautiful pictures. My job is to solve problems, and problems are thrown at me by people who are above me. Like, let's say director says, "Oh, can you change the angle of this ship?" And then I don't need to go back to 3D. I just know that just by using Pixel Squid, I can do it straight away, And let's hold on, where is my? Just a second. Okay, let's just add a little bit of dynamics so we know that this ship is actually not steady, but it's actually moving, right? Let's quickly. Let's, for example, make it.
Jama just dropping knowledge here. Doing little demos and showing how things are. Yeah, I agree. The idea here is the speed versus or speed efficiency versus quality, and one of the things that I always have in mind is, as much as speed matters, and the fact that you want to create something really fast and have the ideas out of the way before you go and jump too deep into them. It's also how you control them and how you can manipulate them from the moment you get them going. And what is great about finding the tools such as Pixel Squid is the fact that it gives you the amount of control you would not have otherwise without wasting time. And for people who might just say like, hey man, how much you're getting paid for having those guys in here and promoting their products? Nothing, guys. We're just literally being fucking excited about it, and that's what we do when we're excited about that stuff. So
I can tell even more. Sorry for interrupting you. I just know, like, some people always, like, there's always someone who is not satisfied, saying like, oh, how much you get paid. Like, I can tell you this story. When I got interested in this product, like, you guys know this story. I went to France and my stuff got stolen, and I was in so much trouble. But because I promised guys to have a call, we had this call when I was on the train with zero money in my pocket, trying to sort out my visa stuff. And guys can confirm, like, I was on the train, the call would be cutting like every 2 seconds, but I was just so excited, like, that we need to do something to show actually people how this stuff works,
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, and for us as well, it's interesting. Like, so far, Pixel Squid has been free for some time. You can sign up and you can use everything in the library for free. And even though we are looking at introducing a subscription model by the end of the year, it's still going to be extremely affordable. It's not something that it's still a tool that we want everyone to use. It really is one of those things that when you use it, you just give it a try, and when you use it, it's kind of amazing. It kind of changes the way you think about making art.
I agree. I mean, even for myself, and I use 3D a lot. 90% of the work that I do these days is 3D for clients, and but I still, I still find this so useful, especially for like, there is a certain threshold of 3D work that you have to be really advanced in terms of lighting and shader work and modeling, or even if you're just using assets from TurboSquid or other sites where you already have a 3D asset and you already have some textures. Just setting up shaders to your rendering engine that you work with, and setting up lighting that looks realistic. That alone takes a lot of time. There's probably 75%, 80% of work that you can do to make things look good, but there's gonna be still far away from that realistic edge that you might be getting from photos or textures and whatnot.
Exactly.
So one thing that I found about this plugin, and you guys caught me by surprise when I found out about it, because it was just like, how on earth I haven't heard about that earlier, you know? And the reason is because not only how easily and interactive it is right now already, and I have in mind all the aspects that are not polished yet and need some more work, and limitations in terms of like choosing camera angles and choosing lighting and all that, and maybe even choosing lenses, which is really important in things I do. But there's a 5 or 10% of things that this plugin will replace and make the work more efficient for me. Especially the fact that it works with the smart objects. It's really cool because once you have it set up as a smart object, you can always come back and change it. You can always come back and do small adjustments. Let's say you have that plane that you did here, Jama, right?
Yeah.
If you kept it as a smart object and like added, clipping masks with adjustment layers and maybe some paint layers, you can still like, I really don't like the angle of it. Maybe the plane should be flying from the other direction. Well, you just freaking rotate it in the plugin and it's done.
Yes.
It's as simple as that. Instead of just now I have to start over. I need to do a render. I need to place it in. I need to do all the changes to it. It's the amount of iterations you can do without losing your mind. Let's put it this way, or the non-destructive way of work that is now available not only in 3D, because you can do that stuff in 3D, where you can set up a scene in 3D and then you just rotate a model and re-render. Now those things are slowly but surely coming into Photoshop, which essentially basically change a little bit of a perspective that I have on where the things are going in terms of 3D, 2D, and whatnot, which is kind of fascinating. I have a question to you guys, Ron and Dade. Obviously we already know. I mean, from just looking at what Jama is doing and seeing where what he's doing, like the magic that he's creating on the screen, and people get to see how the plugin works. I'm curious, what's the roadmap you guys have in mind, if you can talk about any of that at all?
Oh yeah, no, for sure. So it's funny. One of the first time we spoke to Jama, he expressed one of the main things that we want to solve is and we're working to solve right now, which is being able to not only choose a different camera. In other words, like you may need something with more with a wider lens. You may need something with a longer lens. So we've got a recent solution that's going to be able to enable that. But along with that, we also have one where you'll be able to change the lighting and not only go from different lighting angles, in other words, rotating the light, but also choosing from different environments so that you can really have that model stick within the environment that you're creating. So you have to do less manipulation. So it becomes more of a real-time viewer that you're actually manipulating, and you're not limited to the 225 frames or angles. You're actually getting a nice smooth rotation. So that's on the very near horizon for us, and I think we're hoping to get some people to start beta testing that, or I should say alpha testing that soon.
Don't forget about me. Don't forget about me.
Jama, you attention whore.
I am, man. I'm just trying to help
Nah,
out.
I get it. I get it.
It's interesting too because Turbo Squid, because we're Turbo Squid, there's things that we're trying to do as well to sort of to implement this kind of approach in other ways, and a lot of it too, like with VR and with gaming happening right now, like just blowing up. We really want to kind of fill that space as well. So we're working on a type of asset that kind of travels everywhere. It's sort of that dream that you could design something, concept something like what Jama's doing right now, and if it's signed off on, you could go directly into production with. But if you were working in, say, a Unity, and you needed that model in Unity, and normally it's like, oh man, I got to go from 3D Studio Max and convert everything and bring it all to Unity. What we're looking to do is solve that so that you could go from concept to Unity without having to manipulate anything other than just importing. So there's some really, really cool stuff going on here. And that we're just really excited to share.
No, this is really cool. I mean, I'm the most excited about the fact that you will be able to manipulate the lighting and the camera lenses, because that basically unlocks a lot of stuff out there.
Really,
Is it gonna be on the plugin side as well, or that's something that's
will
gonna work on the site first?
no, it'll actually be on the plugin first.
Oh damn, you're
Yeah.
just blowing my mind.
And because the other thing too is poses. So one of the challenges we had when we were building the library, as we continue to build the library, is figuring out what those poses should be. And sometimes you'll have an asset that's got 10 different poses. But what we want to be able to offer in the sort of the stage 2 is to be able to have those poses in Photoshop. So you can just select between them. If you had a taxi cab or a car, let's say, and you wanted the doors open, you'd have that pose where you could open the door. So there's some really, really amazing possibilities that can happen.
I'm sold, man. I'm sold. Just make it happen, guys.
Yeah, just make it happen. Well, for an average user, from my experience so far, when I'm using it and I've been testing it out and playing around, one of the things that an average user of Photoshop has to bear in mind is that because it's a smart object, you have to have decent CPU to be interactive enough. If you have a shitty CPU, that's gonna be it's still doable. It's gonna just compute quite a lot of time. But again, it's just like, I mean, I'm asking for a lot here. So I want to have everything done. Want to have a one button concept art. Damn it.
Yeah.
It's interesting because if you decide that, like, let's say you find the object and you put it in the position that you like, and you decide you want to live with it, right? At that point, you're saying, okay, the angle's not going to change or anything. You can download the PSD, and what's interesting is the PSD actually has a whole bunch of layers. Like normally the layers that you'd spit out if you were working with a 3D department, they would spit out a specular reflection pass, a diffuse pass. You would get mats. So that interestingly enough, there's mat IDs for every object and every material. So you can go and if you need to change something, you can do that. And not only that,
Jama, can you do that on that plane that you have? Like you have an option there in the plugin open as PSD, right? Just so that viewers can see what we're talking about here.
Yeah, let's actually do it.
Yeah.
He was in the zone.
He's in the zone.
Oh yeah, I'm
He's in
enjoying
his-
it.
yeah,
I'm
he's
actually
just,
I'm
like,
gonna
not listening at all.
I'm gonna sell this product. Yeah. So this is what you get. You see, it's very, very cool. So you have all the curves and all the. Wow, this is
Wow.
great. So you've got all the speculars and stuff like that. So imagine like the way, like, I never used it before. That's why I'm gonna show it. Super cool. So for example, let's say you're building, like, let's forget the photoreal stuff. You're doing something very stylized, right? So for example, I will go and do the grayscale out of it. So hold on, where's the airplane itself?
So right now you're if you notice, you've got the advanced layers open, and in those advanced layers, you've got you're basically, so the layer that you're on down there is the flattened image. Layers within that are the ones that are manipulated. So you see where it says, I'm trying to read your screen. You see where it says base? There's your base, and then lighting, reflection, shine, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I
And
see. I see.
and because it's all happening, it's basically it's happening in sort of floating point. So you have a ton of latitude there. So that's why you see there's a curves adjustment.
Oh,
Of
I see.
those
I see.
layers, which give you the
Yeah.
pop.
Yeah. So
Wow.
basically, the idea was like, for example, you can change then the color pretty easily, right? So like, for example, you can tweak this one or just go to hue saturation and you see the color is changing so quickly.
And
So
it's
cool.
interesting because you can do things below. A lot of times, like if you wanted to change the color of a car, let's say,
Yeah.
then you would basically you could do like a hue sat above the lighting, right?
Yeah.
Just above the
Yeah.
lighting, and
This
then
one. Okay.
yeah, exactly. And then what that'll do is that'll actually shift the color below the reflections, so your reflections
So
are unaffected.
yeah, that's cool. So it's actually changing the local color, Yeah,
Exactly.
that's great. It's great, and you have depth as well. So
Depth
which
path,
for
so
like
you do
yeah,
fog, depth of
if you're
field.
doing like environment, you can do it easily. I would say, guys, add a little bit more destroyed cities, then you will get a lot of Facebook likes. Like people love that stuff. Like people still do Last of Us. Like every now and then I see
I
like
know,
Last
right?
of Us fan art
I'm so proud of
because
that
it's
game.
great.
Shit.
Yeah, it's great.
I
So
never knew it's gonna be so good, and I'm gonna be more blessed, I guess. So
It's funny, because we just that was one of the latest collections that we've done. We try to do these curated collections where we kind of take parts of our content and group them together into something that hopefully inspires people when they're creating. So the Rubble is one of the newer ones. We've got more of that to come.
yeah,
awesome.
more ladies, more rebels. That's all.
Yeah.
Make guys just for me do a couple of more Japanese ships, man. I just have one. It's not good.
We need more ships.
Okay.
World War
Yeah,
II,
well,
with you.
just like to show you, like when you were talking, what I was doing actually, that's what actually was me working in the real environment, right? Like I was thinking in terms of sequence, like how can I make it working? Like my first frame was like the approach. Okay, everything's good. Now show the explosion, right? And just in 10 minutes, I was able to boom, boom, do the explosion, right? And I also have this airplane, so flying away. So you can also animate it doing like sounds. So it's gone. Because when you do sound effects, they always sell better.
Yeah.
No, it's really cool, and like especially like what I find very difficult to do. That's why I did this example over here. Is this aerial shots? Aerial shots are always the hardest ones to do because you don't
this
have
one,
much.
This one needs a sound effect.
Yeah, you don't. Exactly. So aerials are usually like really difficult to do because there's not much reference material. Like for example, I created this. Nothing is working. So basically, this is
You have all the layers.
360 cut.
There we go.
360 environments. So I can rotate like and place wherever I want. Like let's say I want my ship be over here, right? Like, and I don't have Yamato ship from that angle. So basically, what I do, I go to Pixel Squid. I again go over here. And then I just find a good angle. I place it. Same stuff. Boom, boom. And yeah, I've got my ship over there.
Nice.
Yep.
So
Simple as that.
it's pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, and man, like it's amazing how quickly you can do it because it's 2D. Like I keep saying always, like 2D is the fastest way to do it. But Maciej is right. Like there's so many things that 3D can save your ass actually sometimes. But it's all about balance. It's all about being smart. And
Yeah.
I'm happy to see people developing tools that make our life easier. Like having this plugin, at least you can like do a lot of cool stuff and do it so quickly and efficient as well.
Yeah, it's always finding balance in terms of efficiency and quality and everything. It's really just about the tools and what tools are going to do the job for you, right? On one end, you would want to have that 3D quality out there. On the other end, working in 2D, it's just faster, at least at the front end. I mean, once you have the whole scene set up and you have a powerful PC and let's say you do GPU rendering on 6 GTX Titans and and it's ultra fast, right? That's great, but how many people can do that? Not that many, honestly. Not that many have access to great computing power, and let alone enough time to polish the skills and have that 3D advantage out of it, right? And again, coming back, 75% of work will look okay, but once you want to have that super realistic results, that's like the last 25% is half of the work that you have to do. It's like you're adding another day or two to get proper shaders, get the lighting right, make it look super rad. Which to be fair, it can be done, and it's once it's done, it's almost like having your own assets library. But it's a lot to ask for on the front end from the regular artist, from the regular user. And again, like, we wanted to do this stream specifically because fucking hell, this is so exciting to see how easy it is to use. And Jama, you're just showing a perfect example of what can be done with it, how fast and all that stuff. You're just basically creating magic in front of our eyes, and it's really not taking that much time. It's super straightforward, super fast. So
No, and the fact that you can, I mean, I did style frames for forever, and I used a lot of 3D for that. And so many times I'd have to live with the angle that I shot because I didn't have the time to go back to 3D and just get a slightly different angle.
yeah.
And so I'd end up making it work. But this changes everything because it really gives you that opportunity to manipulate it right there in Photoshop. It's going to work or it's not going to work. You can try multiple objects. It's really quite fun to use. It's actually fun.
Yep. And once you guys add that the features that you were talking about, that's going to be huge, I think.
I think it'll be
big.
Yeah, it'll
super
completely
excited.
change the game. Because just the feedback that we've gotten from our community of just the way artists are now just feeling almost liberated, if you will. And this is with the limitations that we're living with now, which are it's still an amazing tool. I can imagine that next step is it's gonna take it over the top.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, do you guys want to jump into some questions? I believe we had some on the chat. Is that right, John?
Sure.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. The first one's. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
It says, "Are matte painters still valuable nowadays in top movie projects? Can this specialization disappear in the near future?" Specialization.
Jama, you want to
So-
tackle that one? I think you guys are going to have an
man.
angle on this too, I believe.
Man, I'm always so harsh on matte painting, so people kind of cursing me. So no, actually, I'm gonna tell you this. Like, it's personally my story, so I do not tend to offend anyone in any case. But like when I started as a matte painter, I felt really bored in a year because matte painting these days is not about art. It's about all like technical aspects, like they do a lot of like technical stuff like projections and stuff like that. So it's kind of like something I really don't want to mess with. And actually this is why we're having this conversation, because we are saying that you stay less technical and more creative by using, for example, this plugin. Same with matte painting. Once I felt that it's very technical, I just like, okay, I need to move on. And that's how I basically started doing and shifting towards concept art. But overall, I would say like a lot of disciplines right now, they're kind of getting merged. It's not like officially, but like I know people who can do everything. The guy does concept art, matte painting, projection, animation. The guy is like a super machine, And I think the trend
Steve
will
Messing.
be just, for example, Steve Messing. Like the trend will be getting even like worse and worse with every year because tools became simple. Like 5 years ago, rendering a pretty picture, you had to have like a proper degree in rocket science to do it. But these days you just click render, and it's all done. So that's why it will all be more about storytelling, the design senses, and overall like kind of, design skill, less about programs. So same with matte painting. They will probably merge with someone else, and just because people demand more and more, they just like, it's not like in matte painting you just paint a picture and it's done. No, you need to project it, you need to animate certain things. So it's really interesting, and on the same end, it's really exciting as well, because it's just like tools became so easy that you can spend more on creative side of things.
Exactly.
Well, if you're a matte painter, you're not spending that time. So
But one of the things that made us interested in your work was particularly that you use whatever tool was available. And when I saw your work, I said, man, this guy's going to be perfect for Pixel Squid, because it's real low entry, and like you're always testing some of the 3D code or whatever. And I just thought it was like a perfect fit for you. And
no. Wait a minute. 3D code is not whatever. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I got the point. Yeah, I think like just like Maciej, we all of us guys at Learn Square, the reason why we decided to do this school, that we felt like we have something to share with people, and we felt like we are constantly improving ourselves, so we could put new things and offer like new things to our peoples, like to our students and stuff like that. So that's why, and like I said, like honestly, we're not getting paid for this conversation. I just really feel
Pixel
like
Squid, guys, it's free. You sign up and you use it. It's free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So,
it's, if once you guys fix those things that not fix, but develop those things that I think kind of you could improve, especially like different camera angles. For example, I can show you a good example of it. Like, for example, let's say I have this, like in the storytelling, I have this shot of this ship being hit, and then I want to do shot from a sea level looking up, and change my camera lens as well, but I can't do it right now. So I will need to distort stuff and do it manually. Still a good starting point, but as a kind of future development for you, it would be nice to have those features. Then it will be really flawless. I can see many people using it. It's amazing.
it's coming.
yeah.
Awesome.
If anything, I
Awesome.
can add on the front of matte painting. I tend to agree with a lot of things you said, Jama. Obviously, what happens is basically with the amount of tools that are coming out, and I mean, looking at Pixel Squid, even just as a great example in this conversation, is a lot of things that would take you forever to do 5 years ago now can be done really quickly on a really high level, right? The assets that you can get from Pixel Squid right now, they're already good enough to give you at least a very good base from which you can just do little touch-ups and make it look really realistic. If you know foundation, if you know lighting, and if you're a good painter, that's gonna be a no-brainer for you. If you don't have that skill set, this is going to be a good foundation as well. That's a good tools to get you at least halfway through. So now you're taking a lot of things out of the way, and you're removing the barriers to get your projects done, instead of wasting time and spending time on something that, like, oh, I wish I like right now what Jama is doing, exactly a great example. Like you want to do a storyboarding frames about a ship being destroyed. You get that ship from the Pixel Squid, you plug it into Photoshop, you add that fluid plugin for reflections. I don't know what you're using for the spherical maps. Is it just like you drag and drop the HDRs and that's how they work, or
Man, it's a Jama production. No, it's actually very straightforward. You can convert any image you have into 360 panorama, spherical panorama. It's basically a 3D sphere inside Photoshop, and you can pan around and it's really, really cool, because not only you can do that, but you can also paint on top of it, which makes
that's
it
how
like
you're doing your 360
360s.
images. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to
those are
show me
dope.
that, dude. But just even that, just how easy it is and how many layers and barriers it's removing from the get-go. So now we can just like jump in and be happy with it. Someone asked, I believe, because people were like, "Oh, is it free? Is it free for commercial work as well?" I guess you guys gonna be best to answer that, right?
Yeah. So essentially right now it is. It's free for commercial use. There are of course some editorial pieces of content that are you would have to get clearance to use, like certain types of vehicles and stuff like that
Hmm.
when it has branding. But for right now, everything for commercial use is free as well. It's included in the license. And
Yeah.
it looks like Logan here at Pixel Squid actually answered one of the questions on the thread. He put a good link in there. It kind of shows you what that difference is between the editorial license and the standard license.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's
But
right.
it's all free right now.
Yeah, and you guys mentioned eventually, and rightfully so, you'll add a little bit of a subscription. There,
I
obviously,
think
when the
there will
content
always
grows, it
be a
just
free
makes
model.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll have a subscription. There'll be a free model as well. That because we want people to continue to use this, and it's one of those things where it sounds too good to be true, right? And it's when you really start to use it that you realize, oh, actually no, this is amazing. So
Yeah.
that's the reason why we kept it free for so long, and why we're going to make the pricing very reasonable, and then still have a free option for artists as well.
Yeah. And not to undersell us, but I like the free option. Jama could totally still do what he's doing right now with the free option.
Yeah, that's
Well,
awesome. And
let's keep for Jama. Let's keep it always like that. Yes. I'm not saying anything, but just like
Yeah.
hey, maybe that's what Learn Squared is getting out of it too. But yeah, it's very similar. I mean, it's even if it's a subscription method, and I know you guys have plans for making it affordable. I mean, it's like Photoshop, right? Like Photoshop, right now it's what, $10 a month.
Yeah, it's really cheap.
Yeah, you just like, there's no way you can say it's too expensive to go and use it. It's I get it 5 years ago when the license was like $1,500 just to get the license for a product that's going to be outdated in 6 months or a year. That was a wrong, not wrong, but that just didn't work for majority of people, and I know for a fact a lot of people were just like, oh, I'm gonna torrent that shit. Allegedly. But yeah, dude, it's exciting, for sure. All right, let's get more questions. I know there's tons of them out there.
Yeah, there's another one that says, it says, I don't know if this is answered already or if it's a stupid question, but will it be possible to upload our own 3D model in the plugin?
So not currently. I mean, the process that we use right now is we do have organic artists out there who are contributing. They basically follow a specification. They're working in 3D Studio Max. They're creating materials in V-Ray, and they submit. And if we feel the quality is where we want it to be, because like I said, we try to curate the content as much as possible. It goes through a sort of approval process. So it can end up on Pixel Squid, but it's technically it's like a marketplace, just like Turbo Squid. So artists can then start making money off of that object. So it's not something that currently, that if you had a 3D pipeline and you wanted to integrate Pixel Squid into that pipeline, it's not something currently that you could just drop one of your models in and it would work. I'm not going to say that's not something that we'd like to implement in the future. I will say that it's not really on the roadmap at this moment, but it is a great idea moving forward.
Yeah, it's like asking to have Ferrari for free and then make it fly.
Imagine the power of that if you could, let's say you created your own 3D models and you wanted to hand them to two designers that were working on different concepts, you'd just be able to give them the plugin and they could start running that. So you can imagine the power of that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
This next question says, what is the GPU rendering performance difference between GTX 980 Ti and GTX 1070? If you guys want to go into that.
Well, I'm sitting next to a machine right now with a 1080 in it, and I can say it's extremely fast. But to be quite honest with you, I had a 980 Ti just before that, and with all the things that we've been working on, I can't say I noticed a huge jump in performance, but I might not be pushing it in the right way. I do know that we have a VR lab here at Turbo Squid, and we're using 1080s for that. And I know that
1080s are great for VR for sure.
we did notice a big jump in performance, or a very decent jump in performance when going to the 1080s. So they're kind of hard to pass up, right?
Yeah, it's
Like
also the drivers, right? I don't think
drivers
a lot of
yeah, they're a little behind right now. I
yeah,
think on
yeah.
at least Windows is. NVIDIA has been great. We're actually good friends with NVIDIA. We have lots of friends there, and they're same with ATI as well. We we get along with both. We're kind of the Sweden, if you will. we we play with Autodesk and Maxon, and I was just making a joke earlier that my computer, you should see it. It's got pretty much every 3D software package, every renderer you can imagine installed on it, because we're loyal to all these guys. They're all doing great work.
Yeah.
So we're approaching 2 o'clock. There's one more question. I'm not sure how much longer you guys could hang out, but
I think we can go through a few more questions, right, guys? Or
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah, for
Yep.
sure.
Cool.
I can in the meantime kind of also show another thing that it's kind of very useful for. Like I'm doing the storyboard at the moment, like about Second World War stuff and stuff like that. So it's not only like you can drag and drop this stuff and start integrating it. You can just use it as a reference, which is amazing. Like in most cases, it's really difficult to find a good angle of a specific object that you want to integrate.
Yeah.
So basically, what do? You just like import this guy, set the transparency low, like, and then go like this, and then start painting it over, right?
Yeah.
So
Just a little tracing work there.
just don't tell anyone, so you will get all the
No, it's all
Facebook plus.
it's all pixel, one pixel brush and square.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
it's all that. You just from head, no references
Yeah.
whatsoever.
Imagine from that's the way you know all the tricks, Maciej.
I know. I never use references ever or photos in my work, so it's all pre-painted before. Whenever you see things I'm googling out and textures that I'm using, I already painted them before.
That's true.
Just so you
Well,
know.
it's funny. It is funny that the argument comes up all the time on like which 3D software package to use, which one's better, which one's worse, and it really comes down to they're all tools, and it's really about the talent behind the tool. It's I've seen amazing work in some very very simple setups, and that just blew my mind. And it's interesting too. Like Cinema 4D is a perfect example. It was adopted by a big designer pool, and that really, a lot of these guys didn't have the chops that the traditional 3D guys had, but they were able to create some amazing work, and it wasn't that necessarily Cinema 4D was better at that point. It just the talent that had adopted it was amazing.
Yeah.
It wasn't about the tool at all at that point.
Cool. Let's jump on another one.
Next question says, can you get reflections onto the models from the scene?
No, so currently because you're basically working with pixels. You're not really working with a true 3D object, which is both good and bad. It's good in that it's not really taxing your GPU or anything like that. But you wouldn't be able to do something like live reflections onto the object.
You can composite them though. You just
Yeah.
choose a different angle. Let's say if you're looking at 3/4 top, then you import another one which is 3/4 bottom, and then just composite it in with some blurriness and whatever it needs to happen on the reflection side. It's not a.
Yeah.
I can imagine to have that to be that doable. It's something that we're probably gonna do on the Twitch streams because I'm gonna be using that plugin. We've mentioned on the last stream with Ash that we're having plans for the Twitch streams that we're gonna do something really exciting, and I can just say that Pixel Squid is gonna be part of it too. So it's gonna be pretty rad. Some epicness.
We can't wait.
awaiting. Yeah.
We cannot wait. We're super stoked about that.
It's gonna be awesome. Another question says, are you creating building architectures?
So we do. We essentially there's as long as artists are contributing, they can contribute nearly anything that they want. So, and a lot of times what we'll do is we'll send out specific requests on the types of content that we want. So yes, there'll definitely be buildings, more buildings coming, more battleships, more tanks, more animals. all
Please,
the other things
please,
you want.
please. More tanks, more battleships. Love it.
Yeah, guys, with Pixel Squid,
Nothing is impossible.
Someone said he's gonna go hack that thing and remove it from your computer.
good luck.
I love it.
I do too. I think it's great. He's not overusing.
I'm not overusing. Yeah, I'm trying to be mindful.
Yeah.
I know it's
At
annoying
first you were
sometimes. Hey, it's just me. I just cannot stop my own character. So deal with it.
So that's pretty much all the questions for now.
Cool.
Very cool. I know there was one guy who was answering quite a few others as well on there. Who was that? You've mentioned
that
that
was-
date, I think.
So it looks like Logan's a guy that's working here. He's answering some of the questions that the guys have, especially with links, because it's important to be able to get if you really want to get into, especially with licensing, it's
Yeah.
best to kind of just get a good read on that.
Well, thanks for that. That's definitely helpful. You know.
Yeah, it is.
Looks like he's also, if people did want to contribute, you can be a contributor to Pixel Squid. So if you want to, you can sign up to do that as well and get your models for sale on Pixel Squid.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's gonna be rad. Yeah, I'm genuinely excited. We obviously, me and Ash, gonna disclose what exactly we will be doing on Twitch very soon, and you guys from Pixel Squid, Date and Ron, you will know very soon too. Maybe after we finish this, we can have a brief chat about that too.
Yeah.
It's guys, again, like this is one of the things that I really love to do. I'm genuinely. And Jama as well. I mean, Jama, you're, I guess, even more natural about it because of the way you express your feelings when you're excited about something. The truth is, when we are excited about something, we are very vocal about it. I did that with F-Storm, the rendering engine that is out and it's free right now. We've been doing that with Corona as well, which is it's like a cheap equivalent of V-Ray. If you cannot shell out thousands of dollars for V-Ray license, you can go with Corona and have a really good run with it. And we're always trying to find those things that make the art easier, make the whole journey more accessible for everyone. One of the struggles I personally had as an artist when I was learning things was there was always a big wall in front of me, which was like, how on earth I'm going to buy all the software and hardware to make things that I know I can make, but I just don't have a possibility because of whether it's a hardware or a software issue. And I know a lot of artists struggle with that. And whenever there is a software or a plugin or something that is out there that removes those walls and removes those obstacles, I'm genuinely excited about that. And funny enough, you guys, the Pixel Squid thing happened like all out of the blue for us. Like we weren't aware that even exists on the Learn Squared site. It was like, damn, Daniel.
Damn, Daniel.
So yeah, genuinely excited. It's gonna be fun to see what we're gonna be doing with this. And Jama did some little demos here, and I was showing a little bit of how it works in the beginning too. So you guys, I believe now have a good idea why we're excited about this and why we have this conversation going on and why we're going to continue that conversation. So,
Yeah, for sure.
Dade, Ron, and Jama, thanks for joining us today and
thank you very
spending some
much.
time with us.
Yeah, this was awesome.
It was
Thank you,
amazing.
Thank you very much, guys.
All right.
Pleasure.
We'll wrap it up. Guys, thanks for joining us. We're going to have another stream on Wednesday. That's going to be me and Ash. And then another stream on Thursday. This is pretty regular thing going on here on Twitch. So, schedule is posted on the site, on the Twitch site as well. So you can always know when we are live. And if for whatever reason you're missing the stream, don't despair. You can always there's two options. You can always watch them if you're really like, damn it, I want to watch it now. I cannot wait. And if you know, spending $5 or whatever it costs for subscribing to the channel is an option, then do this. If you're like, oh, $5, fuck, this is too much money. I cannot afford it. Then don't. Then wait a couple of weeks, and it's gonna be all free on YouTube. We intend to keep it free. This is for you guys. This is for community. We're shelling out our own time and inviting as many guests as we can. And you know, showing you all the exciting stuff that we're excited about and all the projects we're working on that we can show. So that's one of the reasons we're doing this. So yeah, cool. I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for everyone who joined us, and thanks again, Jama, Dade, and Ron. That was awesome.
Thank you guys so much.
Awesome.
Thank you as well. Cheers. Bye.